Hey, this is Azbolg, the gaming orc, and we're going to be talking about the patch notes for 7.1.5. So I'm just going to kind of go through them right now. These were released apparently 12 hours ago. Beyond just, we're going to try to focus in on the Warlock changes, because that's what I'm interested in for PvP. They added some new events. They increased the Time Walker stuff. Let's just go down through here. One really cool change is they're increasing it so you can buy artifact knowledge. Go up to artifact knowledge 15. You can spend, I think, 1,000 artifact knowledge, or order resources to get the artifact knowledge now. So it's like a catch-up mechanic for a lot of players. Some of this I'm just reading for the first time too with you guys. Chanting, engineering, new quest for chanting, engineering, and jewel crafting. Alright, here we go. Here's the stuff. I play a monk. Here's some, so they increased displace reduce. My buddy plays a druid. They increase feral damage. They buff feral, looks like. Maim damage increased by 75%. Wow. And then damage done by most balanced spells has been increased by 4%, so a slight buff to balance. One of the major changes they did in this patch, apparently, for like PvE items, is they nerfed a lot of the legendaries, but they ended up making stats more important. So like, people are no longer going to pick a lower level item because it has, like, say, more mastery. So they made, like, basically higher item levels, like, more relevant. So I think even, I'm trying to think, no, so those PvP versatility items would still be pretty bad for PvE, that is, even though it might be a higher item level, unless it has, like, a lot of int. I know with marksman, I think they gave them traps. Like, all of them now have traps. Multi-shot increased by 50%. Yeah, they just buffed a lot of hunter stuff. Buffed ice block down to 4 minutes. They buffed arcane big time. It makes me want to play an arc. The reality is, I want to play an arcane mage now, but re-rolling is like impossible in this game because it takes like way too much time. Unless you know, like, a friend's account and you can play on that account, but that's like discouraged through Blizzard discourages it also because it decreases your account security. That's how people always get their account hacked. Increased frost by 12%, fire spells by 27%. They buff fire. That's what I heard. So yeah, but I know that mages got a huge buff. Let's check out the Meatweaver monk stuff. They buff windwalkers 8%. Windwalkers are already pretty cool. Crackling Jade Lightning by 100%. I mean, they have that for Mistweaver, but I don't think it has it buffed because for Windwalker. Wait, yeah. Let's see what they. Rising Sun Kick reduced. Dumb. Song of. Don't know what that really is. Diffuse Magic. Forgot what that one is. Some of this is like, I don't think is really relevant to the PvE spec, I think. I mean, sorry, PvP spec for Mistweaver. Gust of Wind, so just a slight buff. They really haven't changed them a lot. Hey man, I'm looking, let's just scroll down to the Warlocks. So that's where I'm really kind of expert at. Looks like they buffed a lot of classes. Okay. So I know they buffed Demonic Circle in general. They buffed all the pet damage, so they actually buffed the root. This is something I heard about. They actually buffed basically demonology. So your pet does a lot of damage, and now they increased like the Felguard damage by 20% and the Fel Hunter. They were supposed to fix a bug from the Observer, where the Observer was kind of done for. Mortal Coil healing is now 20% of maximum, so that's a huge buff for Mortal Coil. So instead of like, because that's a pretty big buff, but I thought Mortal Coil was really good, but now I use Mortal Coil with Demonology, so that's a really good buff. So say the Mortal Coil will always heal you, so say if they have Divine Shield, it'll always heal you for 20%. Because you're so immobile as a Warlock, and like you get melee down all the time, and there's a lot of ways people just pop cooldowns, like even Spell Reflection. People just pop like all their cooldowns. So they buffed Soul Harvest, which was already a pretty good ability. I have to see how it was working. I think it was affected by Doom. I remember with Affliction, it's done by Agony. So how many enemies are affected by Agony? So a lot of really high-level Affliction players have that as one of their main abilities. So they go around dotting everyone with Agony, and they pop Soul Harvest. But they'll put Corruption on everyone too. Affliction, Drain Soul at 13, who cares? New Affliction talent, Maleficent Grasp. While channeling Drain Soul, your damage over time spells deal 80% increased damage to the target. So I heard this is really powerful, but if you think about it, you're draining soul on someone, so it really pairs well with Rot and Decay. And I don't know if they're really talking about a lot of the PvP talents here. So they buff Contagion, because basically they tried to make those tier 1 talents more competitive, because everybody was going with Wraith and Agony. So in this whole patch, they've tried to rework the talent trees. New talent at level 30, Empowered Life Tap. This is pretty cool, but I think people are still not going to take it. But I'm trying to think. Well, basically, they buffed it too, because I remember in the patch notes before it said lower than that, than 20 seconds. So now actually life tapping is pretty good. Certain just destruction specs, you're not going to be life tapping that much. So it's pretty. I think it could be actually pretty good, but it depends on what you'd be giving up. That's an Affliction. You are life tapping quite a bit, like in long games, but I have a feeling it's not going to be that good. But again, they're trying to make it more competitive. It might be just fun to try it out. Haunt is now 30 seconds. Was 15, and Haunt now increases damage by 30%. So Haunt now is sort of like an execute, sort of like a ranged execute, from what I understand. They've increased the cooldown on it, but the cooldown resets if the Haunt Spirit dies. So this will be something I'll try out. I don't know how awesome it'll be. Seed of Corruption damage. I know they buffed Seed of Corruption damage. So now they basically, if you didn't have, so they basically nerfed it. So this is pretty cool. You can cast Seed of Corruption. So I didn't know this. You can basically cast Seed of Corruption. They buffed it. And I was confused if it was a buff or a nerf. But I think it's a buff because it's no longer, you could go with the last tier talent. You no longer have to go with the Soul Conduit. You can just go with Sow Seeds. This is mostly for PvE, but you could do it for PvP because they've buffed it now. And so if two enemies get near one another, you can do it. So you give up Siphon Life, but they do have apparently Empowered Life Tap there now. So that might Empowered Life Tap. It's gonna make PvP a little bit more interesting, I think. The servers are still down. I would look at it. I've been playing more or less Demonology because it's just more fun. But I know that they buffed Affliction, so this is really cool. I have a feeling Haunt is going to be the best. It's going to be kind of the best one because it's an instant cast spell. But if you're able to drain soul on people, I mean, that's going to be just really cool. Single target damage, especially in 2s. This is definitely the one you want to go with, because it replaces that one drain soul ability, I believe. So they reworked this talent that apparently was around. They nerfed demon bolt damage. Oh no, yeah, they nerfed that. They nerfed synergy. Synergy was really powerful. I was surprised they didn't nerf it before. They used to have it back when launch was out. Impending Doom now additionally reduces Doom's duration by 30 seconds. By 3 seconds. That's pretty cool. That's probably a buff to Doom. It's not triggered by Demon Wrath. That's an artifact trait. I have to see what that is, but that's probably pretty good. I heard, I don't see that they have it, but I was reading on the forums that Demon Wrath would now trigger around you. So it wouldn't just be your demons, like it would be around you as a warlock. So in PvP, this is really good for when you have like a rogue running around you or something, and you're thinking a rogue is, and your pet's off fighting someone else. Well then, Power Trip got buffed. Power Trip is really good. Right now I use the Doom, Hand of Doom, just because I feel like I'm getting so many soul shards, but they buff Power Trip so much now that you could swap out, take out Soul Conduit and so you don't have that many shards, and use Power Trip, because I'm using Demon Empowerment so much. Like it's every time you summon a minion, you have to cast Demon Empowerment pretty much. Oh, you know, you would get the Observer guy, Dark Glare, instead of that. But the problem with that is that the Dark Glare cooldown is so low. You're always like running out of shards. Like you can't get out imps, you can't get out a lot of stuff. But you could swap out Hand of Doom for Power Trip. But in BGs, this is good. So this might be a PvE thing, really, but who knows? They buffed Destruction as a whole by 4%. See, they don't tell you what they nerfed in the PvP talents. Maybe we're not there yet, but they've nerfed Destruction significantly. But one thing I think that's kind of cool is they changed it to mostly an AoE spec, so you can like let's go to Twitch, see if anybody's watching this right now. They buffed what did they do? Watching this right now. They buffed what did they do? Watching this right now. They buffed so they ended up doing the damage done by most destruction spells a bit. So they buffed Destruction, Demon Fire. Okay, sure. I don't know what Demon Fire is because it's like not used much. Doom Guard's bold. So they buffed the Doom Guard. So if you go with, typically a lot of Destruction Warlocks would go with Sacrifice, Grimoire Sacrifice. It looks like they did not buff Grimoire Sacrifice with these other type of specs. See, with Affliction I would use Grimoire Sacrifice, and apparently it was buffed. But now it's not really, like with PvE it was buffed. And they fixed a bug with the Observer, so now the Observer will actually nibble off people's debuffs. Oh, they nerfed Grimoire Sacrifice. That's not good. So they nerfed Grimoire of Supremacy's Doom Guard's bolt. So they buffed the Doom Guard. So you'd probably be running like Succubus, to be honest with you, or Felguard, or Felhunter, I'm sorry. And you would probably be casting it because it seems like they buffed the Doomguard, unfortunately. So you'd lose Cripple. So they give you Empowered Life Tap. But they didn't make it as strong as Affliction. They only made it 10%. No, it's the same. My bad. But 10% damage increase. And you're not really life tapping that much. Because I remember like the way it worked for at least PvE. Like you never run out of mana as a destruction. You basically work off soul shards. I remember this was a pretty big PvE nerf. Cataclysm and Eradication talents have been swapped places in the talent tree. Because you used to be able to do like a lot of good AoE damage with Cataclysm and for PvE. Interesting. Shadowburn now replaces Conflagrate, which isn't that good. So it replaces that. So this was a big nerf. So why would you use it? Because Conflagrate for PvP like was rooting the guy. I do have an Arms Warrior. So they nerfed Shockwave, of course, because that was pretty powerful. It was an AoE stun. Because Destruction has Shadow Fury, which is pretty cool, which is a nice stun, but most people pick up Death Coil. They buffed Arms ability, so they buffed Warriors. They didn't really need. I guess they needed a slight buff. So now Charge is a hamstring, which is OP. Wow, they buffed the fuck out of Warriors. So they removed the root. This is so OP. They nerfed the root part, but they buffed it because now it's a hamstring for 6 seconds. So when you charge someone, so that double charge talent's really awesome. So that's a PvE thing, the Whirlwind. So they just significantly buffed hamstring damage, which is fine. It wasn't doing that much damage anyways, but they just tried to make it up on par with other abilities. I don't even know what this in for the kill thing. Rend costs 10 rage, was 15. Deals 10% more periodic damage, now deals upfront bleed damage. So basically they buffed Rend, which needed a buff. See, they tried to redo a lot of the talents, which needed to be done. Needed help. Wow. So Sweeping Strikes, basically the Warrior Cleave spec got a major buff. Sweeping Strikes now makes Mortal Strike and execute 2 additional targets. Instead of just where you'd play at the DK and like grip somebody in, well, now you can actually hit their whole team. So in 3s, they made this Cleave spec really awesome, which is cool. I don't know what this one is because I guess it wasn't used that much, but maybe it's buffed. They buffed Trauma, this other ability. So they're just trying to make it so the other talents are a little more competitive. So if you want to play like a Slam spec, that's fine. They buffed Fury, which needed a buff. They nerfed Dragon's Roar. There's a lot of Fury Warriors are really good in PvE. So they just kind of buffed or nerfed that. I play a lot of Protection too. I can't remember a lot of it because I haven't played. I've been playing a lot of Warlock mostly, but I did play Protection Warrior a while back. But now, like looking at these arms changes, because there's just so much server lag. I remember, so you get a free hamstring out of this charge now. That's pretty OP. I mean, and I would play the double charge spec, and Warriors are really mobile. So it's going to be a lot of fun playing Warriors again. Anger management also reduces the cooldown of demoralizing shout. Interesting. I use revenge a lot, and looks like maybe they buffed, but I don't remember this talent. Booming voice was pretty sweet. They nerfed this big time. Crackling thunder. Yeah, because in PvE it was awesome. You would just keep spamming. The radius on it was awesome. It was a huge radius, and it was a little OP. Hey, I admit it. And you could like root their whole team. So it was really awesome. New talent, Devastator. Plays as Devastate. So you were using Devastate before. Your auto attacks deal additional damage, generate 5 rage, and have a 30% chance to reset to cooldown Shield Slam. That's really powerful. It's really powerful. It could be really good. But you lose Devastate. That was the last tier talent, if I'm not mistaken. Focused Rage has been removed. A lot of people, I mean, it was such an annoying talent. Like, you would macro it in with a lot of things. It was just really annoying. Intercept now gives 15 rage, was 10, which is really cool. So I would intercept a lot, and you can have a macro for that, where you target the nearest friendly unit, intercept, and then you target last target. Never surrender, ignores up to 100% more damage. Nice. Increases Ravager. Yeah, Revenge that's the same thing, but maybe they buffed it. They increased the damage on Revenge. Nice. So Revenge, I think, used to not have a cooldown. No, it had a 6-second cooldown, so they buffed it, I think. Cost 30, so this Prot Warriors seem like they could be like a lot of fun. Say buff Safeguard. Shield Block now costs 15 rage. I think it has 0 rage before. I'm not sure, so that might be a slight nerf. Ultimatum has been removed. Oh, that was it. That was some Thunderclap. So they reduced the radius on that for the PvP thing, I think, but because it was really powerful because you could root people. Ultimatum has been removed though, because I remember you used Ultimatum a lot because it was really good. Warlord's Challenge reduces the cooldown of Berserker Rage by 15 seconds. Warbringer now stuns for 2.5 seconds, was 1.5. Interesting. So they have a lot of legendary items. A lot more legendary items that are here. They've nerfed and they've mostly nerfed a lot of the previous ones to balance them out from what I was reading before. And they buffed some of the other ones here, like this. My warrior has this one. Successfully applying a loss of control effect to an enemy interrupts the enemy. 70% move speed, 25. So they buffed the haste on it. So it's really good. Let's just scroll down to Warlocks here. So they buffed the hood, they nerfed the hood because the hood was really OP. They just slightly buffed this. So they've nerfed. They tried to balance out some of the legendaries, and they've added new legendaries in. So they probably make the new legendaries like look a lot better. You know what I mean? Where the older legendaries are like, well, those are kind of the second-rate legendaries now. So they nerfed a lot of these. Dampening now begins immediately in 2v2 skirmish and 2v2 arenas. Nice. Because the matches would go on forever. It was a big complaint of mine. This is the Blade's Edge arena. looks apparently really sweet. They've increased, they actually have prestige level 9 now, which is cool. Interesting. Artifact traits at 35 and above. So now if you actually have the 5% damage buff, that's pretty OP. So a lot of people, so they've made artifact power a lot better now for PvP. So I guess your item now is really powerful. So it is a little bit gear dependent, but we'll see. It's not that bad. I have my artifact trait totally out, but there's going to be a big disconnect now. So there's just going to be more of a gear difference for sure between new and older players. Honor talents that replace taunt effects for each tank specialization will now cause their original taunt effect to be applied to non-player targets. I have no idea what the hell that means. It'd be so cool though if you taunted a player, they would like focus you. They would have to like focus you. So they'd have to like redo like a focus, like target last target. They buff Death Knights, Blood Death Knights. I'm just reading what some of the other ones here are having. Just seeing if what they kind of buffed in general. Doesn't really look like major changes to Demon Hunters. Slight buffs actually to them. They buffed the Guardian. Maul now deals 400% damage in PvP. Guardian Druids now deal normal damage in PvP. That's nice. So they buffed Guardian Druids. They removed a lot of talents though or something, looks like. Anyways. Viper Sting got removed. I mean the problem is each spec has one. Sniper Shot no longer has a cooldown. Nice. They nerfed the Steel Trap. Then nerfed the Cod of Cold or whatever for, I guess, Cone of Cold. They buffed Counteract Magic so you can fight people with dots more. Not a major buff, but still a buff nonetheless. Healing Sphere, they buffed that. So I never used it, but now they buffed it, so nice. Surge or Mist. Way of the Crane also makes you immune to stun effects. Interesting. They nerfed this Refreshing Breeze though. Let's go down to Warlocks. Remember, they had a nerf on Warlocks not too long ago of a 5% damage reduction before this patch came out. Because I think on the PTR, they realized, like, oh my god, Affliction is, like, super OP now. So they had to nerf them. But now your artifact's going to affect that, so the nerf is negated in a way. So you're going to get 5% damage increase, but so will every other class. But if people have more than that, it's fine. Oh my god, that's awesome. Soul Burn has been replaced with Soul Shatter. Soul Shatter, now this was the last tier talent, I believe, for PvP. Soul Shatter now consumes all your damage, so this would replace like Rot and Decay, so this would be more of a battleground. Soul Shadow consumes all of your damage over five effects on the nearest 5 enemies. I guess just anywhere. Unlimited range. Dealing 10% of their total health and damage. So you could like constantly, you just put like an agony on everyone, just pop that. I wonder what the cooldown on it is. Or I think maybe it just costs a shard. Each enemy hit by Soul Shatter increases your haste by 10% for 8 seconds and grants you 1 soul shard. Wow. That's cool. It's kind of like an execute. I don't see why would you use it? It's just, why would you use it? Maybe in a battleground where you're winning and you would then get a lot more soul shards, or you go with the soul seed spec and then you get hit people with corruption, so then you're taking it off and you're dealing like 10% damage and you're re-putting seeds on people. That could work. Soul Siphon's replaced with Death's Embrace. Death's Embrace, oh that's cool, it's an execute. So Soul Siphon, oh that's a huge buff. Huge. Wow, that's unbelievable, godly. Oh my god. That's so incredible. Because, so you would have Spell Reflect. One other talent you'd never use, I forgot what it was. Oh, Casting Circle, which was really nerfed. And now you have Death's Embrace, so if someone's below 30% out, boom, they're dead almost. They're like 100% increased damage, and you have the Malefic Grasp now. So you're just going to just destroy kids. But you won't reduce, you'll trade off survivability, but who gives a crap? Wow, what a huge buff. Unbelievable why they put that in there for PvP. Soul Swap really sucked, nobody used it, so they replaced it with Curse of Shadows. Curse of Shadows causes all magical damage over time takes to deal 30% increased shadow damage for 10 seconds. Oh my god. Dude, Affliction is so powerful now. Oh my god. So Soul Swap, you'd literally have Rot and Decay there, but Rot and Decay is so limited. So now you can put Curse of Fragility plus Curse of Shadows on someone. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun to play today. Curse of Shadows, wow. Or is it just a natural, is it just a passive thing? It can't be, you have to put a buff on someone. But at least they made it more competitive at that tier. That's just really cool. New talent, Disarm. Finally, they brought it back. Disarm the enemy's weapon and shield for 8 seconds. Awesome. So they made warriors badass again. Disarm creatures deal significantly reduced damage. That's so awesome. I used to disarm people all the time as a warrior. They nerfed warriors a little bit. Arms. Not very much, 5%, but still that's quite a bit, I guess. Or like 3%. Sharpened Blade, they buffed that down to 25 per second. That was really powerful. Now you have reduced healing like 25%. It's going to be a lot of fun to play Arms Warriors again. I felt like they were a little lower than that. I think they buffed Affliction so hard though. It's like Jesus. Wrecking Crew removed. While challenging a target to a duel, while challenged, all damage you and the target deal to all other targets other than each other is reduced by 50%. That's so cool. That is so cool. That's such a cool ability. Man. When you throw down a banner at your feet, rallying your allies and increasing the movement speed by 30%, and reducing the duration of all incoming crowd control effects by 50%, within 30 yards and lasts 15 seconds. This is for arms. That is awesome for battlegrounds. They readjusted Fury stats a lot, I don't know. Blood Hunt was removed. Death Wish now stacks up to 15 times, was 5. That's cool. Hopefully they made Fury like on par, but it looks like they increased the haste. Whatever. They reduced critical strike though. Boom. Now I heard that they're reducing critical strike of all melee by 5% across the board, like in and out of PvP, and so PvP and PvE. That is so awesome, dude. Okay. Protection Warriors, they buff Protection Warriors, thank God. They increased the haste and the critical strike. Tenderizer removed, what the hell. So I'm interested, man. There's a lot of really cool changes in this patch. Well, that is the end of 35 crates. Above that is above PvP. That is the end of PvP in a while. Hey, I agree. Like, we'll see. It just makes a gear change more, but it's going to be easier to acquire artifact power. You're going to get up to 50 levels of artifact rank. That's so far, like, in the artifact thing. So you could get to like level 35, no problem. It's a catch-up mechanic. I'm glad they buffed this dampening in 2s, because 2s is a nightmare. It's cool they added. It looks like a lot of great. This looks like a really good patch, and I know they're going to put new patch stuff in. We're going to talk about a more in-depth version of the talent tree later, but I'm going to post this video to my Let's Play channel. Enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in a bit when the game comes up. Talk to you later.